and welcome to the International Gaming Standard Association Conversations. The IGSA Conversations are just that, conversation between various gaming industry professionals discussing a specific topic. They're intended to be informative and to generate questions. I'm Peter de Raad, IGSA's president, and today we have with us Mark Pace, Managing Director of GSA Europe, and Ethan Dower, GSA's Technical Director. Welcome, guys.
Hi, Peter.
Today's conversation topic is a short introduction of GSA's Regulatory Reporting Interface, or RRI standard. GSA will also be hosting a 1-hour Zoom session with Q&A on how GSA standards benefit regulators. So let's discuss, is it possible to get timelier gaming data reporting? Guys, today I thought we should discuss the work that GSA has been doing from the data reporting side of things. I know that we haven't officially released a regulatory reporting interface, but we're close.
Yeah, Peter, we are very close. In fact, the technical committee is putting the finishing touches on RRI right now.
Hey, Ethan, can you explain what RRI does for the audience?
Sure, I can try. So RRI defines a standard set of data elements, and also along with that, a standard reporting mechanism. So it allows system suppliers to build a single reporting system that hopefully will meet the needs of multiple jurisdictions. So we standardize the data elements for land-based and online gaming, as well as lotteries. There are 3 ways to send the data: real-time, near real-time, or periodically.
So, Ethan, help me understand, why was this identified as an area that would benefit from standardization?
We heard from several suppliers that meeting the requirements across multiple jurisdictions was becoming very problematic. They were having to customize their systems for each jurisdiction. And it was not just the reporting, but also the core systems. But at the end of the day, though, the games being offered in each jurisdiction are really the same. They're the same games. And the data that they generate is the same. So what RRI is trying to do is to define a superset of the data for each different type of game, whether it's fixed odds, casino games, parimutuel, poker. We define those supersets of data, and then the regulators can pick and choose from the superset. So if the core software put out by the supplier supports that superset, the suppliers don't have to go in and customize their core software for each of the different jurisdictions. They only need to filter the data down to just what the regulator wants.
Yeah, and Ethan, if I could jump in, the issue of differing reporting requirements, it's especially problematic in Europe with online gaming. But by the way, I think it might be good to say that when we are talking about or using the word reporting, we're not describing reports as in documents with headers or footers or columns, etc. We're really talking about data being reported or sent from the operator systems to regulators.
Yeah, and to Mark's point, it started in Europe with online gaming. It's kind of where we started first. Then we heard from regulators and suppliers that they were having the same issues with land-based gaming. So we ended up expanding RRI, the scope of RRI, to cover both of them.
Is RRI also reporting lottery reporting?
Yeah, in a growing number of jurisdictions, regulators are being asked to provide oversight of the lotteries as well as the land-based games and online games. So from their perspective, getting a standardized data feed would not be complete without the lottery information.
All right. Mark, I know that there may be a limitation on what you can disclose, but can you talk about the work that the European Commission asked the European Committee for Standardization to do and how GSA Europe fits in this?
Sure. So several years ago, the European Commission asked the gambling expert group to determine whether having a standardized online gaming reporting standard across Europe would assist regulators to provide oversight. The expert group, by the way, used to be comprised, and I say used to because they no longer exist, but the expert group was comprised of representatives from the various European regulatory authorities. So they conducted the study and they found that in fact, yeah, it would be of great benefit.
And while that was going on, we had already started working on RRI. So it seems like great minds were thinking alike.
Right, right. So as Ethan just said, we were, I think, on draft number 14 of RRI when
Yep.
the EC, that's the European Commission, issued what they call a mandate to create the standard, which CEN took on as a task.
And CEN is the European Committee for Standardization, right?
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, to sort of cut to the chase, CEN created a technical committee to develop the standard. GSA Europe was made aware of this, and we became a liaison organization with CEN, and we donated RRI draft 14, Ethan just said that the number was right, to kind of jumpstart their work. Then the technical committee decided to have two project leaders, one familiar with policy and one with technology. And I was very honored when they voted me as the co-project lead to, head from the technical side.
Yeah, and then Mark pulled me into the technical committee by adding me to the delegation from Malta as an expert contributor. Then we worked together with the CEN technical committee on the standard, and I think it's out for going out soon as a draft for comment.
So help me understand, why two standards? I mean, GSA is developing the regulatory reporting interface RRI standard, and Europe is developing what? A regulatory reporting standard for Europe?
Well, so that's a good question. But no, it's not called regulatory reporting for Europe. It's actually called right now, as a working title, the Online Gaming Reporting, or OGR standard. Now, I think it's also important to understand that the EC mandate to CEN was to develop an online gaming reporting standard. GSA was developing one that covered all forms of gaming. So kind of from that perspective, OGR is a subset of RRI.
Yeah, right. GSA is developing a global standard. CEN's developing a standard that's really only designed to address the European requirements, which, as Mark said right now, are simply online gaming. So OGR is really a subset of RRI with a few twists.
Yeah, and maybe one of those twists, as an example, is that the CEN technical committee preferred a slightly different style of XML, same data, but a different format. So again, not a huge difference, but a difference nonetheless.
Yeah, and another difference are things like, our OGR doesn't cover real-time reporting. The Europeans decided they didn't need it for their requirements. Meanwhile, RRI includes real-time reporting. CEN decided that they only needed the near real-time and periodic reporting features.
So from what I'm hearing, they are similar, but the regulatory reporting of RRI is broader, and the OGR, the online gaming reporting standard, is European focused.
Well, that's right now, Peter. But I think if the standard proves useful, and I've got no doubt that it will, we will probably see that there will be a push to potentially add land-based reporting to it as well. So the difference between the two, between RRI and OGR, will potentially diminish over time.
Okay. Hey, Ethan, RRI is being developed within the Online Gaming Committee, which has two of the largest online gaming companies on board, right? Microgaming and Playtech as its members?
Yeah, correct. We started the RRI project inside the online gaming committees. Along the way, we've had other companies have joined and contributed also. But what's happened also over time is that we've expanded RRI to cover land-based games too, which leads to kind of one of the benefits of joining the OGC committee is that companies can just join the OGC and participate in the development of RRI without having to join some of the other GSA committees in the broader GSA organization.
And that's a very good point, Ethan. Companies interested in contributing to the development of RRI can simply join the OGC and focus on that standard or any other online gaming specific ones that that committee is going to be working on. I think it's also important to note that we have a regulatory committee, which is only open to regulators, and that they are also very interested in RRI, and I think might have been contributing to it as well.
Yeah, we've shared RRI with the RC, with the regulatory committee, and they're watching to see how it's progressing. They're very interested.
Well, that's great, guys. This is all good, but how does RRI and OGR speed up data reporting?
Well, so let me jump in here, and then Ethan could elaborate. I think there's sort of two things to consider when we talk about speed. One is speeding up reporting, and that's great. But the other is that does it matter to you where the source of the information is, where the information is coming from? In other words, are there also other objectives beyond just more timely reporting?
So what do you mean with that, Mark?
Okay, yeah, that was a bit of a convoluted answer. Let me try again. So, for example, in one of our previous conversations, we discussed how regulators could get faster access to slot machine data, such as meters and events, by implementing a monitoring system over a wireless network connected to slot machines using G2S. Remember that?
Yes, I do, because with a monitoring system, the regulators, they can get data directly from the slot machines, right? Bypassing the operator's existing casino management system. And
Right.
And they get it in real time, right?
That's right. So in that example, regulators want faster access to data, but they also want independent access to the data. So that's one where they had two objectives.
Yep.
Naturally, as we also discussed, as a bonus, that could potentially leverage that monitoring system and also perform software validation using GAT. But the point is, all of that is done using G2S, not RRI or OGR.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that RRI or OGR necessarily speed up data reporting. I mean, a lot of that's dependent on system capabilities, networks, and all sorts of things like that. But they do make it a lot easier. They certainly speed up the time to market for suppliers and operators, because they make it easier to get the projects done, and they make it easier for the regulators to consume the data since they're working with well-known data sets.
Yeah, and I think, Ethan, that's a really key point, right? Because the idea of being able to consume or use the data, I mean, in some cases in Europe, there's so much data being sent to the regulators, they can't really do much with it. I mean, they just stuff it into a vault. And then I guess the idea is to analyze it after the fact. With RRI and OGR, the data the regulators get is broken down into different data feeds, and those data feeds can be filtered so that each one delivers just the data needed for a specific purpose.
Yeah, and that means that the data is ready to be used immediately when the regulators receive it.
Yep. So what you guys just described is that if I want faster access to data from slot machines, and I want to avoid the CMS, the casino management system, a G2S-based monitoring system is the way to go, right? And if I'm okay getting the data from the CMS, then RI can help me get that data and use it faster in a standard way that also applies to online gaming and lottery. Obviously, for online, the data would come from the online platform and remote gaming system, and for the lottery, from the central lottery sites, right?
Yeah, that's it. I think you have it.
Okay, got it. Well, Mark and Ethan, it was a joyful experience. Thank you for this great conversation. To our audience, thank you for listening, and please send us your questions and comments by contacting us. Information on doing so can be found at our website, igsa.org. And until the next conversation, thank you.
Thank you.